And so then what happened is I got depressed, dropped out of medical school, worked in a blue-collar job, came back, and then my depression came back. And then the second time I sought to drop out, I met with I think you'll like this story. I met with the head of the school. The dean of the school cares about money. And I don't even remember the meeting. And I was pretty low. And then I get a call from the dean of students who cares about students. And he says, Mark, you better get in here. I got a letter from the dean of the school. And I think the dean of the school was worried that I might hurt myself. Because when I met with the dean of students, I read the letter from the other dean, and it said, I met with Mr. Goulston. We talked about other careers, and I'm advising the promotions committee that he be asked to withdraw. And I said, what does this mean? And the dean of students said, you've been kicked out. And I kind of caved over. It was like a gunshot wound to the stomach. And I know what that's like because I had a perforated colon that I almost died from about 12 years ago. And I just kind of caved in, and I felt something wet on my cheeks, and I thought I was bleeding from my eyes. I mean, this gets a little bit weird. And I touch my cheekbones, and it's tears. And so imagine the upbringing I came from. You're only worth what you can do in life. And at that point, I didn't feel like I could do much. And something to tee this up, because this will be important when you understand the significance of what the dean of students said to me. During my first leave of absence, I wrote a poem that got published in a journal of geriatric psychiatry, and it was called Lament for the Old, because I just looked around and I say, boy, we don't really treat old people that well. We're not patient. We want to focus on people where you can give them more life. And the bottom stanza, I'll just read from Lament for the Old, because one of the lines says that I am now 3 times the age of when I wrote this. And the bottom stanza, which the dean of students must have seen this, it says, I then took the time to get to know some of these marvelous people 3 times my age, which I'm now, who offered a wealth of experience that spanned hundreds of years. What was so obviously missing was someone to share the fullness of the past and to help relieve the loneliness of the future, and maybe someone to give a damn when they died. So it's kind of ironic because I'm 3 times that age. So going back to his telling me that they'd kicked me out in my cratering, imagine hearing this. I don't know if you have ever had the feeling that people's love and approval is tied to your accomplishment, but it's not an unusual dynamic. And so he says to me, Mark, you didn't mess up, but you are messed up. Meaning I was passing everything. He said, but if you get unmessed up, I think the school would be glad they gave you a second chance. So he's talking against the dean of the school. And I start to then cry from the compassion and the understanding. And then he says, and even if you don't get unmessed up, even if you don't become a doctor, even if you don't do anything with the rest of your life, I would be proud to know you. And my eyes are just pouring. And he said, because you have a streak of goodness in you that we don't grade in medical school, we should. And you have no idea how much the world needs that goodness. And you're not going to know it till you're 35. But you have to make it till you're 35. And then he said, look at me, because I was looking away and I was crying. He said, look at me, but you have to make it till you're 35. He points his finger at me and he says, and you deserve to be on this planet, and you're going to let me help you. If he had said to me, if I can help you, give me a call, I would have gone back to my apartment. I'm not confident that I'd be here today. So he grabbed me by the nape of the neck. He stood up to the promotions committee that he was part of. And then I met with them. And I guess they saw something in me that he did. and they gave me a second leave of absence. But why? I just want to connect that to what I'm doing presently, because everything's come full circle. In the last year, I started a company called Michelangelo Mindset. And what Michelangelo Mindset stands for is teaching people to see the angel in the marble and set it free. That's what Michelangelo did. So I've created courses for an accelerator of startups, and I teach them to think like Michelangelo. Inside your investors is someone who wants to give you money. Inside your customers and clients is someone who wants to buy from you. Inside talent you want to attract is that someone who wants to work for you. You have to see it clearly what they really, really want and set it free. But why it's come full circle, and I didn't realize this when I started Michelangelo Mindset, the dean of students was Michelangelo, and I was the David in my future. Because what happened is I finished medical school. I went to UCLA, trained in psychiatry. One of my mentors was the pioneer in the study of suicide prevention. And for 25 years, I focused on suicide prevention, and none of my patients died by suicide. And all I did was pay it forward.